Hey nerds! So, 3.3 is now available for download on your storefront page, in case you haven't already gone and seen it. I'm hoping this will actually load. Oh, there we go. So, I will warn you though, with 3.3, it's not exactly a massive update. The biggest thing here, of course, is the changes to Inherit Skill, which now you can bring 4 instead of 3 abilities. That's the biggest thing there. However, we do have some weapons to look over, we do have some character stats to talk about, as well as that free character we're going to be getting. And, well, let's dive into weapons first, shall we? And let me just say, with weapons, man, I was really hoping Sophia, I was really just building myself up for an awesome refine and an awesome weapon for Sophia. And while I kind of let myself down in that regard, I don't think necessarily Eternal Tome is really that bad. It is just a Raven Tome with an additional bit of might, which for some people may be a bit of a turnoff. But when you do refine it, it does give you a stance effect. I forget what the name of that stance is, but it grants an additional defense and res plus 4 during combat. Which, for Sophia, she already has some solid defense and res as a unit, so that just kind of builds onto her, so I can kind of see where that refinement is going. It's decent, it's not terrible, it's just kind of there. And I just kind of got myself all bummed out and down over it, but oh well. Now, I will say, when it comes to Klein, though, he definitely got a bit more on the nose when it came to, you know, what really he excelled at and what he had before. Because Argent Bow is a brave bow, but better. It has more might, and it uses less speed. Instead of 5, it uses 2, which means that our boy gets to be a bit more fast, just like Sonic, I would assume, but no. The other thing that really seals the deal here, however, is with Argent Bow, when you refine it, it gains chill defense, which is just phenomenal for a bow unit, and it really frees up that B slot as well, so it really will feel quite nice on Klein, and I think that you can really make a lot out of it. And I'm gonna have to change my Klein, by the way, because I just realized he has an attack flaw. Very sad for me. Alright, so, let's talk about Dark Aura, let's talk about, Dark Excalibur as well. So, these weapons have been in the game for a while, and Dark Aura has always kind of been about buffing your allies as long as those allies are using something that is in melee reach, I guess. So, all that fun stuff. I just now noticed that Beast is actually added to this as well. Kind of forgot about that, but, it still retains the at the start of turn buff where, if any of those allies have that, an additional +6 attack. However, if you happen to refine it, it also will have an additional, I guess that would be a drive-like effect, a spur, but as long as these units with the same type of weapons are within 2 spaces of her, during combat they're going to gain attack and speed +5, which is really quite just another big buff to an already pretty potent buffing tome, is what I'm trying to say here. And, yeah, that's pretty nice. But I would say the big one for me is probably just from Sonya, because, well, when you enhance Dark Excalibur, it already has that additional +10 damage, but it also gains, at the start of turn, grants special cooldown count -2. Meaning that you can run, and while I probably am not the best here, you could probably run a lot of really potent abilities on characters like Sonya and Merrick without having to worry. Like, with me, Sonya, you could use Glacies, and this would just be readily available pretty quickly. So, yeah, that's a really nice buff for her, and a nice buff for Merrick as well, technically. I kind of forgot that Merrick also gets Dark Excalibur. Alright, so, how do you guys feel about your weapon refinements? This time around, I feel that it was actually quite strong for the ones that did happen. There was just, I'm still a little bit about Sophia. That's just me, though. Alright. So, let's move on to characters, stats, as well as your free character you're getting, okay? So, thank you, of course, to our Gamepress Dataminers. Check them out in the description, as always, because they do amazing work, and, well, we need to continue to support them. Hey nerds, here we are over on the stat page, and let me just say, I'm really quite happy with Lou here. At least because I was really quite fearing where his attack stat would be. And 35 attack and 36 speed is a pretty decent attack setup. At least this way he won't be doubled by everyone, and he should be able to at least combat well, some of the slower units. Then, of course, we also have the 31 res, which we already pretty much assumed he was going to be getting. And with, of course, his Grand Serpent, he's going to have even more when that, you know, when he actually is in combat. And, well, that means most mages won't be able to touch him, but some melee will probably decimate him, so be careful with this precious child. I will say, with him, you know, I kind of find it funny that you could technically make him into a Nino in a way. You know, it just kind of makes sense. Like I guess, like son, like mother, like son? Either way. Let's move on to Sue. Now, Sue, 38 speed is really quite high for an archer, and it's also quite high for a cavalier archer. That is just enough of what I have to say there. 32 attack is pretty... it's just about the type I would probably say for an archer, which is not bad. In fact, she has a decent skill setup, and she should be just what you would expect from an archer. Granted colored, but she should be able to pump out damage, and she does have that really nice bow effect, so... The only real problem, of course, is that she does not have very much res or defense, 23 and 20 respectively, but then again, are you really going to run her in to get killed anyways? Chances are you're going to use her to pick off enemies from afar and just, you know, the typical archer spiel. Alright, so let's talk about Thea. Thea as a character, I'm a little bit worried about. I do find her stat spread actually quite interesting because it's very even, very nice in that regard. A lot of 30s. Granted, she had to sacrifice, at least from what I can tell, a bit of health, which... You know, considering the fact that she's getting close to the mage and the archer here, that's not exactly the best sign. But she does happen to have 31 defense and 28 res, which is a decent enough defense spread that she can be I would say, a pretty good enemy phase unit, as well as her... You need to remember that she has not only her weapon, but also her skill setup, so that is going to go even higher as we go on. At least when she's initiated in combat and things like that, so... Vanguard, though. I really, really want that for my Lucas. I have a Lucas project now, and I really want to see that. Alright, so it's probably time to talk about the character that everyone really wants to know about. And, well, that's our Dark Priestess, the newest dragon, and she has 179 BST, by the way. So, not terribly high, you know, not right up at the top, but still quite high. Very, very close to the upper echelons, as you would say, of BST. Then we have to add in the fact that technically, as a unit, from what I'm seeing here, she also gains super boons, or at least super assets, I guess, in this regard, in defense and in res. Goody! Although I think she also has a super flaw in speed, which I don't... Who really cares at this point? Because she already has naturally 39 defense, her weapon gives her more defense, and she has 34 res. Do I really have to spell that out to you? The only problem, of course, is that her attack is a little bit on the low side, but you need to remember that, well, once she actually gets below a certain portion, she'll be having more stats, you know, more in combat effects, and if anyone happens to debuff her as well, shoot, you're just gonna go and waste our time, aren't we? Alright. Last but not least, we do have one other character. And this is your free character, and I have not seen his stats yet, but I do know his skill setup, so I'm kind of a bit concerned. But, well, ooh, okay. Alright, well, that's a very high speed stat, and I will say, he looks very, very lovely. I love his artwork, seriously. It's really well done. Now, with RUTGER, what you're going to be getting from this package is, of course, the Slaying Edge Plus, Vengeance. He also has Attack Defense Bond 3, that's at 4 stars, and then finally Vantage at 5 stars, which means, you know, that bonding skill is quite nice, and I will say he has 39 speed, which is really quite high, and he kind of feels like, to me, you know how we have all of these speedy characters now. We have Ira, we have Carla, we have Marth, Legendary Marth, we have Legendary Roy, all of these speedy sword units. He kind of feels like he's meant to be and I hate to say that, a poor man's version of that. Mostly because he does not retain a lot of the additional benefits there, and I'm kind of sad about that because as a character, RUTGER, in his base game, is insane. Like, he can do crazy things with his crit, and unfortunately they did not really... I mean, they kind of made that work in some sense, at least by giving him a slaying edge and making him, you know, a little bit faster on the uptick when it comes to specials. But nonetheless, it just kind of, you can kind of tell that maybe it wasn't as strong. I love the guy. I'm sure people will be able to make amazing things out of him because his stat line is really quite decent, honestly. 32 attack is not bad. 39 speed is fantastic. 29 defense is actually fairly good. His res is not going to help him, but his health is actually somewhat decent too. It's not bad. It's just, it's not what I was expecting. And I'm sure someone will probably put out that meme that, you know, the day's ruined, everything's immeasurable, and all that fun stuff, but... Well, I'm still going to try and make him into an amazing unit, because RUTGER, I feel, deserves it too. And honestly, what else can you really say? So there are your units, guys. I want to know what you think. Are you excited? Are you happy for your new, beautiful... Man, he is quite majestic. Just look at him. Beautiful swordsman, or are you just kind of about this? He does have some good skills, at least, that you can inherit. That bonding skill. But are you going to be using him, or are you going to be foddering him? I would love to know. Alright, guys. Catch you later. It's time to end this video. If you enjoyed it, thanks for watching, and maybe, you know, leave a like. If you haven't seen anything else from this channel, click around. I'm sure there's something on the screen here for you to click. Alright. Enough bothering you guys. I'm out. See you soon.